Normally in my videos, I'm talking about finances, getting out of debt, building wealth, or how to make personal change, creating discipline, consistency in what you're doing. But I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Tomorrow we have a very important election coming up, maybe the most important election in my lifetime and maybe in history. Hi guys, this is the Pappy Maida Encounter, and I am Pappy Maida. And I usually don't talk about politics, but it's so important that we make the right decision tomorrow that I think it's important that I just lay out some things to consider. You know, I'm 81 years old, and over all those years, I've supported, campaigned for, I've voted for both Republicans and Democrats. Of late, I will admit that most of my voting has been for Republicans, but I'm a registered independent. I would consider myself a liberal conservative. However, little L, big C. And the election that we have coming up, I think, is just absolutely one of the most critical elections that we have had in a long, long time, maybe in the history of this country, because there are so many issues to consider. And yet I say that, and I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm not voting for him because I don't like him. Now, well, it's about time we had a black woman in the White House. I don't like his, I don't like the way he combs his hair. Blue no matter who. I'm voting Republican. I don't care who's running. All they got to say to that is, what in the hell is the matter with you people? You know, forget all your biases. Forget all of your emotions, your feelings, who Taylor Swift is voting for, who Tom Brady is voting for. None of that matters. Use the brain that God has given you and take a look at what's going on in our country. Take a look at what's going on in the world. And we also have two candidates that have a history on the national scene. One was president for 4 years. One was vice president for 4 years. So forget all the rhetoric, the lip service that these people have. Take a look at what they did when they had a chance to do something. Now, I say this as, I can see where our country and the world is at a tipping point right now. Let's take our country first. First of all, take a look at our economy. We have inflation, we have recession, it goes up and down, up and down. It doesn't seem people know what the heck they're doing. And the second thing is, we talk about employment all the time. There isn't. Governments do not create jobs. Companies create jobs. And what we need to look at is how can we support the company? How can we make sure that our companies stay here in this country and don't go to some other country to, create the products that come into this country? That was never done before in our history. We were always self-sufficient. And now, take a look at all the stuff that's imported into this country right now. Cell phones are imported into this country. We don't have a cell phone except if it comes from China. All of the semiconductors, the things that run the cell phones, run our computers and stuff, they're all made in Taiwan. most of our steel, all these kinds of things that used to be made in this country where we were self-sufficient are made elsewhere. So if there's ever a situation where we get into problems, we're going to be in trouble. When there were other world wars and stuff, it didn't matter to us. We were strong. We could create the stuff that we needed to go out and stand for our independence and for our democracy. We could create those things ourselves in mass better than anybody else. We can't do that today. And I know the borders are a very, they're a very controversial issue. But let's take a look at what's happening. I'm not against people coming into this country. Our country has always been a country where people wanted to immigrate to, but they have to do it the right way so we know who they are. We know what their intentions are. We can't have, but people say 20, 30 million. We don't even know for sure how many immigrants have come in this country across our borders. You can call them undocumented, you can call them illegal, whatever you want to do to be politically correct. That doesn't matter. Political correctness be damned. We've got people coming across the border. Sure, some of them are coming seeking asylum because of bad situation. But we've got, drug lords controlling who comes into this country. And we also have people coming into this country who are criminals, tens of thousands of people who are murderers, rapists. Plus, we also have about 5% of those people who have come into this country who are Chinese. Now, even if you take the smallest amount, let's say 20 million people that have come in, 5% is 1 million people. And it's estimated by our military and some of our intelligent people that about half of those people, somewhere between 40 and 50% of those coming across, are not seeking asylum because they're running away from their government. But these are military-age young people that when you say, why are you coming into this country? They turn their back and walk away. They won't answer that question. And a lot of our military and intelligence people think that there are sleeper cells being developed in this country right now by a lot of those people. And I got news for you. We've always been a country where when the crap hit the fan, World War I, World War II, Korea, all the battles were always fought over there. We even had a song in World War I, over there, over there. Well, guess what? In the next conflict that happens, and everybody thinks it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, we may find that the conflict is going to be in our backyard. And then people wake up and say, wait a minute, how did this happen? Well, I got news for you how it happened. Because you took this and took our elections and you took what was going on in this country of, well, it doesn't affect me. Baloney, it does affect you and it will affect you. How are you going to feel that, when our power grid is disrupted in various areas? Not for, a few hours or a few days, but for months at a time. And you also got to realize that wars aren't being fought with, bullets and artillery pieces and stuff now. So you have what they call missiles. And these missiles have from China to Russia to even these crazy people you got in North Korea. They have missiles they can lob into this country. So wake up, people. This election coming up is important. We got to take a look at who are the people who can best represent us, not all these superficial reasons and idiotic reasons for voting for somebody. Now take a look at what's going on in the world scene today. Open your eyes. Say, well, that's over there. That doesn't bother me. Baloney. Very well could bother you. You have a missile flying into your backyard, it'll bother you. You know, China is sitting there rattling their chains. You know, they got created one of the largest armies and air forces and navies in the world, pretty much equaling our own. And they're sitting there threatening, you know, because they want to control the Pacific Basin out there. They want to bring Taiwan into their country, and the Taiwanese don't want it. So guess what? If they decide to go in there, we're going to have a battle. And these guys, you know, Japan, all these people out there, they're our allies. And if you think we're not going to be part of that, we are. And so what are you going to do when all the cell phones that are made in China are no longer coming in this country? All those little chips that run your computers, that run your cell phones, that run all the other electronic stuff that we have, that we're used to for our creature comforts, are no longer available. Hello? Then you'll wake up, because it will be in your backyard. So, you know, we got this critical election coming up. And when it comes up, you better take a good hard look at what's going on. And I think a couple of things that you have to ask yourself. I think 3 important questions. First of all, who is going to put America first and protect the future, not only for us, but also for our kids, our grandkids, and protect them from not only from what's going on in the world, but protect them from every fringe group that comes along in this country. And it seems we kowtow to every little fringe group that comes along. And whose fault is that? Guess what? Take a look in the mirror when you brush your teeth. That's whose fault it is. It's not the government's fault. It's not your neighbor's fault. It's not that guy that voted for the other guy. Look in the mirror. It's your fault. A second question we need to answer ourselves is, who is going to make America self-sufficient again and free us from the, you know, from just from outside influences and outside pressure, because we're dependent on these people for, you know, for these little chips, you know, for our cell phones, for oil, for whatever. And finally, we need to take a look at who can represent the United States to the world and to world leaders, both friendly and people who are not so friendly, who are going to be able to sit down with these people on a one-on-one basis and negotiate with world leaders from a position of competence and strength as a strong leader. I'm sorry, I'm getting my little tongue-tied here. I'm getting kind of fired up here, and so I apologize for that. But most importantly, tomorrow, is to get out and vote. But before you get out and vote, ask yourself those questions. Take a look at what these people have done in the past, not what simply they're giving lip service to now because there's an election. Use your brain, not your emotions, not your biases, when you're voting tomorrow. God, this is Pappy Maida saying, be well, be safe, be blessed, and God bless America.